Welcome to the One in the Shibal podcast with Susie and Ed.
We're just two Asian Americans talking shit about shit. Hi, Ed. How are you? Contemplative, important. Thank you.
I was thinking if I said enough times, you won't ask me that question.
Hi, Ed. How was your week?
It was okay.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It's okay.
A lot happened, actually.
Let's do a quick recap on what Ed has been going through.
Okay,
for
so
those
this
of you
week
who
I
might not know.
Yeah. So I've been looking for my siblings. I reached out. I found my older sister thanks to the internet. Actually, quite terrifying how quickly you found my family.
Just Ed did a video on TikTok talking about his situation and finding his siblings, and that video went crazy.
It went a little crazy. People helped look. So I found my older sister's contact information by the help of an amazing private investigator who reached out to me. Susie and I found a bunch of phone numbers, but didn't know what was what. Susie called a couple of them. So yeah, thanks to a private investigator, she reached out with the correct information. She quadruple checked phone numbers. So I got her cell phone. I texted her. It's been 2 days. I haven't heard back. There's actually a lot more information that I'm probably going to have to make a video on, but I don't think it's going anywhere from here.
Well, let's give her maybe a little bit more time and the benefit of the doubt, because as far as we know, she either knows everything about you or knows literally nothing about you or your existence.
It is starting to look like there is a possibility they don't know anything about me.
And from her perspective, she could just be like some crazy man and some crazy lady who, I will admit, was very nervous when I made the call, stumbled on my words quite a bit just because I didn't want to blow it. And I'm pretty sure I fucking blew it, so for all she knows, she's like, I got this crazy, few phone calls and I don't know what's going on. So maybe give her some time. You did know it's a phone. It's a cell phone.
Yeah, it is a cell phone. It went through it was an iPhone, so it went through as an iMessage. But I don't know. I found some out information. She may be in contact with my younger sibling's family.
What?
Yeah. So basically, I'm probably going to make a video before this drops, but basically I found out that my dad's brother, aka my uncle, included her in giving away company stocks along with the rest of the family. So literally, I was the only one left out.
Oh, this is patriarchal eldest son bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's two options that I'm thinking happened. She has a different history with her mom and my dad, where she was always kind of included, or my dad's widow only focused on erasing me because I'm the oldest son of the oldest son, making me the oldest grandson of this Chibal family.
Wow. Chibal, for those of you who don't know, basically means mogul, family of moguls, Rockefellers.
Yeah, there's
status
there's
in Korea.
20 families in Korea that would probably be classified as Chibals. And so because I've even found articles where my youngest brother is called the only son and the oldest grandson of my grandfather. And that's when I was like,
That must have been very painful for you too, though.
It was a little painful, but that's the thing is that that's why I set myself up with pure pessimism. Because
Defense mechanism.
While I do get my hopes up, this was my expectation. You know what I mean? Maybe not some of the conspiracy drama that may be coming along with it. I didn't anticipate that, but
I will say too, though, Edward, you do have a very vivid imagination, and you do let it.
It does. It sounds like that.
Roll.
But the thing is in my life, I have a pretty good history of those imaginations. Roughly 80% of the time, I would say I'm kind of right.
Okay.
Even if it wasn't 100%.
Even
I grew up with a bunch of women.
Insane.
I think I osmosis. So yeah, I don't know if anything's going to happen. That might be the end of the road. We don't know. I mean, I'm still going to try to find my younger siblings. So we'll see.
Okay.
But this week, I think then in order to stop myself from having an emotional breakdown, I think I instantly took all that energy and I transferred it to this case that I've been reporting on, basically. This like missing woman in Nancy Yang.
Projection
She's
is what
from,
that's called.
yeah, mhm. She's from Alhambra. She disappeared while she was on a yoga retreat in Guatemala. The whole thing is very suspicious. The whole yoga retreat group, like, rebooked their flights a day early, ended everything, rummaged her room, left, didn't even help with the investigation. The main woman that was with her when she supposedly drowned in the middle of the lake is a prosecutor, or a defense attorney, a public defense attorney in San Bernardino County. So she's a lawyer who fled the scene of a potential crime in a different country. So like her family and her siblings are looking for her. So I think I immediately was like, I'm looking for my siblings. They're looking for their siblings. You know what? Mine's not going well. Let's just focus all the attention over here, you know?
Well, wait, so there's all this suspicious activity around this case, and how come I feel like you're the only person talking about it?
Kind of. See, I just did it right here. We went from talking about my dad, now we're talking about this case.
But anytime a pretty white girl goes missing, the whole fucking news cycle is like, find this girl, and like no one's heard of
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So the yoga instructor disappeared. So many people reached out to me.
Wait, the yoga instructor that is in charge of the retreat also disappeared?
Yeah. No, he didn't disappear.
He just
left.
bailed.
He came back to California and he just went about business as normal, teaching yoga classes.
Like nothing happened?
Nothing happened. Oh, yeah, no, every single one of the other 8 attendees also did the same thing. It's a very suspicious thing. A lot of people who know the yoga instructor has reached out to me to give me their personal accounts. One woman made a video claiming that he assaulted her.
Oh, Jesus.
But at the very least, everyone is saying that he's like a crazy, narcissistic psycho. He's also not the brightest. So that mixture...
Nothing like a dumb narcissist.
Yeah. Doesn't bode well for everyone involved, including him, because he's not smart.
Wow, Nancy is her name, right?
Yeah, Nancy Yang.
Well, we'll be staying up to date on your channel because I feel like you are the only person really talking about it that I've heard. I haven't really heard much outside of what you're saying.
I think I might even, just to help bring a little bit more exposure, might start the true crime podcast and start with her case.
It's a good call. Wow, that's really.
But how was your week?
My week was great. My daughter had her first volleyball tournament, and she did really well. Mm-hmm. And so I was really happy. But if I'm being totally honest, I think right now I'm kind of coming out of this tunnel. I think I had my first bout of like depression that I didn't recognize going into my bout of depression.
You never do.
But usually it comes with like the sads, right? Usually I'm like really sad and I'm like crying and I'm like really emotional. But in this round of depression, I've never felt like, I like woke up this morning and I was like, have I just been numb for the last 4 days? Yeah. 4 or 5 days, I don't feel like, and if you'll notice, I don't know if anybody has noticed, I haven't made one piece of content at all. I feel like I just completely checked out. And I don't mean checked out in that like, I still did everything that I needed to do in my daily life. I went to work, I took care of the kids, I did volleyball, I coached, I did all the stuff. But everything just felt like I was on autopilot and I didn't even recognize it. Like I don't remember having like any feelings, aside from maybe those couple moments of like, joy and exuberance while my daughter was playing volleyball. Aside from that, I didn't feel anything. Like I usually, not because I'm a crier. I usually cry multiple times a day for a multitude of reasons, not because I'm sad or whatever. Just like I'll watch a commercial and I'll cry, or I'll think of something that makes me happy and I'll cry, or I'll watch a video and I'll cry.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. And I feel like I just have been so checked out.
I think that's like the silent depression that doesn't get talked about enough.
I think that's exactly
people
what it is.
People talk about like, oh, I'm so sad and I'm having these horrible feelings. Well, there's also a different type of depression where like you just don't feel anything.
Right.
And I feel like my biggest part is when I go through that, I do this thing where I eat fried chicken because fried chicken gives me the most dopamine that I ever want in life.
So I need to find my fried chicken.
And if I eat fried chicken and I don't feel anything, then I know something is wrong.
Yeah, maybe. And now, like in retrospect, I don't remember anything that I ate or like if anything was like really good or particularly like delicious and like food is kind of like my thing. And so to like not have that like heightened sense of taste, smell, or like I don't recall. And it wasn't like I wasn't sad and I wasn't like, you know, depressed in that very like typical way. I just was like, I just woke up and I was like, I have just gone through the motions of my life for the last 4 days. I don't remember doing anything particularly well or badly, but like I was just like robotic for 4 or 5 days. It's just really weird for me. And like coming out of that. So then of course my younger sister was like, it's menopause. It's probably menopause. And I was like, thanks. It could be a lot of things and you're probably right, but can you just not right this second tell me that I'm going through menopause? That'd be great. But so today I woke up and I finally felt like, oh, like the light switch, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, I like beamed back into my life and I was like, oh, okay. Like I feel happy. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I was very much looking forward to today. And you'll find out why in a minute. But I think maybe that's what it was. I was just like, I need to just get to the finish line of this point in my life because I know something really good is about to happen. So I just think I just autopiloted it. I don't know.
Chemistry sucks.
It's so weird. It's so weird. Us, especially as a woman, you know, entering, I think, a new phase of life. Like, I don't know how to prepare for that because it's different and manifests for women so differently. Like, I don't know if I'm perimenopausal. I'm going to make a doctor's appointment this week. But because you just know what you know. Like so menopause to me is very much like birth is in that we just know what we know from like movies, you know? So we all think that the birthing experience is just this crazy, like screaming and like, get out of the room. Like,
and menopause is like Diane Lane having a freak out in a movie.
It's just hot flashes, right? You just get hot flashes and like, that's it. And like, no, it's like, how your mental health is directly correlated to like your hormonal health, which is directly correlated to your physical health, which is correlated to like your endocrine system. Like it's all so connected and you don't really even realize it until you're going through it. And now I'm like, okay, well, here comes the new rabbit hole of like menopause. And like, I was like, I guess I'll become an OBGYN now because that's what's going to happen. I'm just going to learn everything I need to know about it. Cause I want to know what's happening to me, but I don't. So my week was fine.
So you're gonna become what is it for women, pregnancy, birth person?
OBGYN.
Doula. So you're gonna become like a doula of menopause.
Well, I was already a doula for giving birth, so I might as well. Is there one? There should be one. That should be a thing. Where I go to your house like a doula would, and I sit with you and I talk you through and I say, you're going to be okay. No, you can yell. You can yell at your husband. Yell at your kids too. That's fine. They deserve it. You're right. I'll validate everything you're doing. Another piece of chocolate cake. I validate that for you as well. See, I'd be good at that. I'm going to start a new fucking practice. Menopause doula. Let's do it. Anyway, moving on.
That sounds fun. Good times.
Are we ready to introduce?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So today we have a very, very special surprise for you all. And I have been looking forward to this day for a long time. And two people that I admire so much in this world have graciously decided to join us. They not only are two incredibly influential women on the internet, they also happen to be very close personal friends of mine. And I cannot be more thrilled to have Portia and Rebecca join us today on the podcast. Portia, Rebecca. So
welcome.
Tell us your handles on the social media so people might be more familiar with that. Portia, you are?
Portia.Noir. Noir. You know what's funny?
What's funny?
People think that noir is for black, but it's really a playoff of wine because I love Pinot Noir.
I didn't know that till just now. I thought it was the first reason you said.
No.
Double entendre.
But
if you will.
It works both ways.
It does.
And Rebecca?
I white woman whisperer. White_woman_whisperer.
Is it because you like white wine?
And women. And you're a woman.
I am a woman.
And you whisper.
I am not a white woman. I don't know. I just realized that some people may be hearing this and not seeing this.
Oh, they can see it too. They'll do
okay.
both.
All right. Yep. I like to, talk to white women about, I also see myself as a bit of a doula for divesting from, white supremacist culture.
Great. So you can confirm things and validate people's feelings and also tell them when they're being fucking ridiculous.
Right. You're going to make it through this.
Beautiful. So How I know Portia and Rebecca is through TikTok.
Yes.
And like for all of the disgusting, horrible, vile bullshit that TikTok is, I will say that our friendship is one of the best things that has ever come out of TikTok or could ever have come out of TikTok for me. So you are in for a treat.
You're also here.
You're also
There's also Ed
in the room here with us.
Hi.
to us. Great.
I'm just gonna do this.
Well, since I know them, particularly well, I think since we all met on social media, it's really important for us to talk about, because I think we all have such different experiences on social media. And I think we all experience it so differently as, Ed and I as Korean Americans and you as Black women on social media. And I think watching you both navigate through it, because I think what people forget is that we didn't learn how to do this. Right? We didn't take a class on how to be on social media. And so as people watch us, what you have to understand is that we are learning as we go.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think the first and foremost thing that I want to know
We're like pioneers.
I mean, like basically.
We're kind of making history.
Oh my God.
Frontier woman?
Thank you.
What do you think has been one of the more challenging things for you as social media superstars?
Ooh. First of all, being called that's a challenge. That's a challenge.
Or I guess maybe firstly we should talk about what it is that you predominantly talk about on social media, so people can get a sense.
If you will.
Yeah, let us know.
So some fun facts.
Tell us about yourself.
I feel like I'm back in the corporate office.
Yeah, right.
An overall thing that I talk about is anti-racism and dismantling and deconstructing white supremacy and the tendency to fall into characteristics of it. And then I also flirt with people, but not on purpose.
It is so
Not
on purpose.
Come on.
That is such a fucking lie.
Ed, my tagline on my bio on TikTok, it used to say equal parts thirst traps and education. If that gives you an indication to the whore that I am.
Yeah.
It's a vibe.
I mean, is it equal? I'd say it's equal.
It's a little more education.
It's a wave.
It's an ebb and flow.
Right.
Ebb and flow. It comes and goes.
And it's incredibly intentional for you to say that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The wink?
Accidentally.
The wink is...
With the wines.
Always.
And the fingers.
And the fingers and the handwriting. I find that the hand penmanship to be maybe one of the more seductive things that you do.
Is this
I know.
slut shaming or do you have a crush on me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I have a thing for penmanship. She has incredible penmanship.
I really do.
It's really incredible. It looks like she typed it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How about you, Rebecca?
Well, I have a white mom. So I've properly been equipped to talk to white women. I just realized, I'm from a really diverse place in New Jersey, right? And I grew up with
You're from
many.
New Jersey?
Yeah, North Jersey.
I grew up in Philly. Where are you from?
Bergen County.
Oh,
Teaneck.
okay, word.
Shout out to Teaneck. Yeah. So Teaneck actually was one of the first voluntarily integrated towns. They're very proud of that. I knew so many biracial people. I was just like one of a bunch at my birthday parties, and not on purpose. And just like it just happened, and we were just out here, and I thought everybody was on the same page as us. And then I moved to the Midwest.
Surprise!
You didn't even have to go that far technically, because there are parts of North Jersey that
I could have just gone down to South Jersey,
Yep.
to be honest. But my idealized, I just was out here, and
the
I got
world
a
is
job
what we
in
think,
Chicago.
what we know, right? To us, the world is what we know.
Exactly. And then white women started touching my hair, and smiling and complimenting at the same time. And so my brain was like, what's happening? And how do I make this stop before it starts?
Did you really never experience that till you moved to Chicago?
Not really, no.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been natural. My hair's natural since I was like 26. I'm 33 now. So my hair was straight a lot. But even in New Jersey, they weren't touching it.
Yeah.
They would say things like, I love the hair.
I love when you wear your hair straight.
Yeah. What happened?
Did you just get your hair done?
Your
It
hair
was
looks so different when it's
But the Midwest, nice
It looks like
thing,
mine.
Right.
But when they would go, my daughter has curly hair, not as tight as yours.
Thanks.
But and then what do I say?
Right.
She's not black, right?
You got it. I'm a black. Yes. That's all I got for you.
Oh my God. I wish you would have.
It's
so
the
that's why
same
I'm
but
on
different.
TikTok, because I don't know where to take that energy when I'm now living in Chicago.
Same.
I realized you can't. And people weren't as comfortable as I was talking about white people shit, like most white people shit.
Yeah.
And they would tell me things like, "Oh, I went cow chipping." Do you guys know what cow chipping is?
Cow chipping?
Cow tipping.
Chipping. Nope,
Tipping,
nope,
not
not
chip.
with a T, with a CH.
It's different.
What is that?
It is with cow poop.
Okay.
What do
And
you-
they throw it
Why?
Oh.
Why?
to see who gets it the
whom?
furthest.
Oh.
And
With
then
your
there's
bare
also
hands?
cow bingo, where they put money on the card, and if the cow poops on that thing, then you get that slot. And
You
so
know what,
I
here's-
told them that's white people shit.
Can I just?
What? What?
And they looked at me like, "How dare you interrupt this lunch?"
At least it's better. It's better than what I thought it was going
I
to be.
thought
Because I
cow
was thinking like
tipping
cow,
was
like
white.
poop frisbee, or they're
No,
like
yeah,
throwing
yeah.
it to each other. No.
Yeah, not at each other. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
not
thinking it's
dodgeball
like
frisbee.
catch it. Yeah, oh my
No.
God.
It's a
But
solitary
it
version.
is with bare hands, right? They're
Yeah, I think
using
so.
bare
I'm pretty
hands?
sure.
To
Yeah.
touch-
And then they like get in their car and then drive?
It's a nice family fun event. It's a tournament. There's a town that's like their
Wait,
thing.
wait, wait.
I learned a lot about this on TikTok
So like,
too.
so this isn't
Now.
like. So I imagine this is like a activity teenagers do when they're drunk in the
No.
middle of the night.
Adults, there's fundraisers.
Shut
there's
the
everything.
fuck up.
Yeah. So
That's
that
so-
exists in the same world we live in.
What?
Sometimes just right
And
down the
just
road.
processing that alone needed a TikTok for
I've
me.
never heard-
I needed to talk, and I needed to like, what this is America's a big place,
Yeah, it is
And a
very
lot of things happen.
big and
and a
diverse,
lot of us
isn't
have
it?
experiences the others are not having.
No.
That is the truth.
And so I'd like to share.
I don't.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't
I
know.
know.
I would have to drive so far to find a cow, and I
Well,
wouldn't. Is
That's
cow poop
crazy.
inherently flat?
No.
I
No, it's not.
okay, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I don't even know.
sometimes-
So they
Sometimes
Sometimes.
I'm a subject matter expert. This
Yeah.
is one of those times.
wait. So if I have to throw a poop, I would imagine it would have to be like flat, like a discus.
I'm pretty sure.
do you
I
think it
feel
gets
like I'm
there?
getting this
Oh,
energy.
No,
Yeah.
Portia, is
But
that what
they
they
have-
do?
Listen,
Like a
here's the
little
deal.
statue with like we're
Like
the
a-
first ones to do
like
this game.
Like pat it together, like
Like
a
a patty
like a crab
cake
cake almost.
tortilla.
Well, like I know that they use cow poop a lot for like insulation in some other
Sure.
developing countries,
But not for frisbee.
This is
Not for
different.
games, not for games
This is
and
different.
Not for
voluntarily.
shot
This is
put.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
for
yeah.
entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
But like,
Not survival.
No.
Yeah.
there's so many other things to entertain yourself with
See, this is what I'm saying.
in 2023.
There are so many books.
Well, there's some people who really love tradition, so maybe that's
Why is
what
that
it is.
tradition?
so
Yeah.
there are
Listen, I don't know
towns
why
who-
it is.
Yeah.
I just know it probably is.
I mean, I can tell you that there is a
They're the
city
champions.
in Omaha that has a duck race every year.
Well, that's cute.
A what race?
A duck race.
I
It's
feel like
cute.
you're going to tell me it's something that I don't think it is.
Shoot 'em at the end.
I was like, I
I'm
just-
still not sure.
Is it what it is?
correctly.
Because when the duck wins, the person gets a duck, but then they have to cook the duck.
So I knew it. I knew. I was like, oh, they killed the duck at the
But
end.
it's called a duck race. At this point,
raised to death.
just call it duck hunting.
Yes, kind of. Wait, so do the ducks race each other?
Yeah.
Like a.
Did you mean do they chase the people?
Well, no, I mean like, I'm imagining.
Like, do
I'm
they
imagining
know
like
they're
a
racing
horse
each other?
race, like it's like a track and they like
Oh.
run.
I don't know if they actually
an
know
open
it because
field.
I'm not in touch with the duck's head, but I feel like they know because they're like in their little lines and they go racing down. They hear a little.
Poor ducks. They don't. They think they're going to
They're
win, and
obviously
they
clipped.
The
ultimately the
Midwest
biggest
is strange.
losers.
It's a strange place.
I've been to St. Louis and I've been to Chicago. Those are the only two places I've ever been to in the Midwest, and I feel like those I'm good.
and Chicago and Chicagoland are different. I would coming from New Jersey, I thought that
Isn't
people
Chicago
should also know that.
a nickname for Chicago? Isn't Chicagoland like a nickname for Chicago?
No.
Like no,
No,
'cause-
Chicagoland is like all of this land that is near Chicago. And when we say near, we don't mean that.
Oh.
It's just so it's like out there. And so I moved and they were like, yeah, Chicagoland. It's an hour and a half from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And white.
Because-
Very
well, because-
like the horses have their own
Hollywood they used to like call Hollywood land, right?
Right,
They just
right.
they call it Hollywood. So I imagined that Chicagoland was the same. It was like Chicago.
Pioneers were
It's like a
very
whole other thing.
creative.
They're like, we'll just
Hey,
get them
we
out
have a
here. Just
Chicago.
call it Chicagoland and get them out
Creative,
here.
'cause they're like, we'll just call it the same thing, but just put land on the end.
It worked
because
with
it's
me.
not the same.
Like
place.
I don't know if you've ever heard of any like towns in England, but did you ever see that movie
no,
with Adam
I don't.
Sandler
I don't
where
watch
he like
movies.
makes up Winona Ryder what's that movie with Adam Sandler, Winona Ryder? Mr. Deeds, where she makes up this like town. She's like, I'm from like Winchester, Shireville. There's literally towns that are called
up in your brain.
Yeah, there are literally towns called stuff like that in England.
Here's the deal.
So Chicagoland is like kind of.
Yeah,
I think all the names come from white men, and white men are inherently lazy, so it just makes sense.
Not creative.
They're like, New York already came up with Jersey.
Yeah, right. Not just the regular one; it's the new one.
It's the new one.
Yeah,
and New York land.
Yeah,
New Yorkville land.
New York State. New York.
Yeah,
and New York.
We're talking about people who are too lazy to write the city. They're
Jersey
like New
City,
York,
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Come on,
Jersey
guys,
City.
let's get creative.
So lazy.
Just take an extra second to think of something original.
So
That's all we ask.
That's crazy. I actually lived in Chicago for a year.
What part?
Right by the Loop.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But I worked at the Starbucks at the Northbrook Mall. You didn't turn on the door.
Huh.
That's not close.
How did you do that?
Oh, I walked to the train station and I would take the metro like an hour.
But like you could afford to live like downtown Chicago?
I lived there for free.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Why?
So like I had recently, like I don't know if you could say that I lucked out, but like I had recently gotten into some legal trouble in Philadelphia. My mom shipped me out to Chicago so I'd stay out of trouble, even though it was illegal because I wasn't supposed to leave the state.
I was like, fugitive?
To keep you out of trouble.
Feels like a fugitive?
So to keep me out of trouble, she like shipped me to my aunts in Chicago. They lived in Northbrook. They're not rich. They just wanted a good school system. And then they're architects. So they had just flipped this apartment and they were like, my cousins at the time, I was like 18. My cousins at the time were like 10 and like 12 or something. They were like pretty young. Or maybe even younger. So my aunt and uncle were like, hey, we just flipped this apartment. We haven't had a chance to rent it out yet. Why don't you just go live there? Because like, you're like 20 pretty much. And like, you're living with this family and these kids. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'll go live at this empty apartment and sleep on an air mattress on the floor with the TV on the ground, and that's all I have. Oh, sure.
At 20, that's great. What 20-year-old doesn't live that life?
Right. I did actually love that life.
It sounds pretty simple and great.
I could go back to that right this second.
Be
like,
for free?
Except for the part where I had to commute an hour and a half each way.
Wow.
Right.
I do
to work at a
now.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to work at a Starbucks in the Northbrook Mall, where like remember at the time everyone was wearing like
Starbucks.
Everyone was wearing like juicy couture jumpsuits.
Oh, what a time that was!
And they like would come with these ginormous rings.
Yeah.
Being that I also worked at a tanning salon.
There is that.
Weird parallels.
Just so naive as like I just was genuinely like, yeah, no, I'm just working at a tanning salon and I am this color and have straight hair.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna say anything weird to me about this. I am never gonna hear a weird comment.
You think it's gonna be normal?
The juxtaposition to like who I am now was like everything's about race. I
was like, we've all experienced that trajectory, right? I know I have. I'm like, oh, I play volleyball and I go to this all white high school. Like nobody can even tell I'm Asian, especially if I put sun in my hair, which turns it this really pretty shade of orange.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like who's gonna notice? Like, oh my God, it was the worst.
I put sun into my hair right before I was shipped to Chicago while my mom didn't bail me out of jail for 2 weeks.
I had sun in my hair when I was on 106 in Park. It was just like this one little piece.
That's also
right there. 16.
That's another juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Sun in for 106 in Park.
Sun in, yes. I am a biracial queen.
You sure are.
I'm just like I didn't realize everybody else was like, oh no.
Yeah.
This isn't right. I went to a predominantly white high school too. I was one of 7 black kids in my graduating class.
Wow.
Yeah. And that internalized anti-blackness will just creep up on you.
I was just going to say, did that lived experience inform kind of who and what you are now? Or do you think it's because of or despite?
I think it's because of. Yeah. I answered a question the other day where somebody asked like what radicalized me, and I thought about it and I went back to like when I was 8 years old. But thinking what I do now, and Rebecca was kind of saying like now I'm on camera and I can say it's because I'm like nobody's talking to me. I feel more empowered to talk about the things that have happened, especially with my TikTok audience. I have some younger people that are in there that talk about the things that they go through.
Sure.
And like I don't want somebody else to have to deal with that because I can sit here and tell you some stories that have happened to me that were horrible. But I can't pinpoint a lot of actual harm that I recognize was harm.
Right.
Until where I'm at now and other people talk about it. Yep. So it has definitely shaped like what I want other people to not have to experience, but then also experience.
Right.
You know, I will never sit here and say that I have been ashamed of being Black or I hate being Black, but being proud of being Black, that's a recent development. You know, to have that pride behind who I am and where I come from and now what I do. So yeah, it shaped me.
I think I will say like a lot of the things that I experienced that I now recognize as like passive aggressive racism or overt racism, and some things I didn't even realize. And now in retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, there were so many instances of that, but I took it in, but didn't internalize it for what it was.
Right.
And then that just made it normal to me, which then made me feel like, well, weirdly, now I'm feeling bad feelings about it. It's just me. It must be just me because this has been happening forever. And now all of a sudden, now I'm having feelings about it? No, but it's something in me has probably changed, but the world has always been the world. But this is a me problem. And I didn't recognize it for what it really, really was until I'd say, unfortunately, pretty late in my life, you know, like mid 30s maybe. And so when you say like there are young people, we get emails all the time, kids 14, 15, 16, teenagers who now I think have the benefit of having watched us talk about like the things that we felt like were so normal, but still somehow felt bad, but we didn't understand or have the language to identify what it was and talk about it with anybody who we thought would understand. It was a very isolating experience for so many of us. I feel all of us.
Yeah. And I think also too, like the Gen X, because I'm right at the end of Gen X and the things that just weren't talked about.
Oh, sure.
Ever.
Right.
And then growing up surrounded by respectability politics to just not question anything.
Right. Right.
You know, like just to kind of go with it. If somebody said something that was casually racist,
dude,
but then followed up with, you know what I mean?
Right.
I thought I knew what
Try
they
being
meant.
a Gen X of parents
it
who
doesn't
are
include
immigrants.
me.
Gen X kids and having parents who were immigrants, endure was really the theme of my life. Whatever you're feeling, whatever pain you're experiencing, whatever fear or whatever it is, just endure it.
Yes,
That's what you do. That was that word flashes above my head all the time. Endure. And it's like, oh my God, you just had to like white knuckle through so many experiences because we didn't have anything. There was nowhere to put it. There was nowhere to put it. You just sit there and you just endure it until it passes. And I was like, fuck, man, that's so painful.
We're the left behind. We were talking about this earlier. We're the left behind generation. Like we were ignored. Yeah. You know, so you say like Gen X with immigrant parents, Gen X with Black parents that were in the military, and my dad was a preacher.
Yeah. Fucking shit.
You guys were the generation where like there used to be a commercial that used to come on.
You know where your kids are.
Yeah. You know where your kids are. Because it's like, hey, it's about the time where your kids should be home. Remember, hey, put that drink down. You have kids.
Where are we? Right now, I'm outside with a bunch of white boys on their BMX bicycles circling me, calling me a chink. That's where I am.
But everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
I'm going to make it home for my curfew.
I'll be home for dinner before the lights come on. It's okay. And when you ask me how I'm doing, I will say fine. Yeah. I'm fine. Everything's okay.
If you get asked.
Right. If I get asked at all. Yeah, I could probably count on my hands like how many times my parents were like, so how was your day? Which just wasn't a question. No. It was just like, the day existed. Yeah. Eat your dinner.
Eat your dinner.
Okay.
Here we are.
Eat more.
All right. That's fine.
Shut up.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're also just in an interesting place right now because everything is so much more visual and so available at such an easy access type of way. And you know, when you're saying that, we were just kind of taught to believe it. We get gaslit so much by the way white supremacy shows up. So now that we see it in an instant where it's like, this is that thing. This is that thing that they said. Bad thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like to push what I call Questianinity because it's funny. It's fun to say, but also because I felt like I couldn't ask questions so often because it was like, come on. This is how it is. Don't ask the question.
Stop being sensitive.
Right. You know, it's just how it is. Yeah, I wish it couldn't be. Even in the environment I grew up in, which was very accepting, it was just kind of like, yeah, we know that's not true, but like still do this anyway. And I'm kind of over it. Yeah. And now I'm in my 30s. It's like, what? Peer pressure from who? Like dead people who are just like, well, traditions. Are,
this is just how it's always
been. Those people decided before. So,
right.
And I'm like, why don't we ask more questions? Because I'm pretty sure the answers are actually simple.
Yeah.
Maybe not easy.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they are pretty simple. And a lot of it is just like this type of thing where we say TikTok is exhausting and sometimes devastating in terms of what you see of humanity. But then there's also like the humanity.
There are those flecks of light.
Comes through.
And without them, I would have been long gone.
Sure.
Long gone. I mean, it's so toxic and it's so at times just terrifying to be there and to just be out in the open and like just being fodder for like hate it's exhausting. It is beyond exhausting. And it's like, you know, you come to Jesus on that app every other day, or at least I do. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is horrible. This is so painful. Why am I doing this? And that is the exact moment I get a DM. Hi, I know you'll probably never read this, but I'm 14 years old and I live in a really rural part of Kentucky and I'm one of only, 5 Asian kids in my whole class. And when I listen to you, I blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'll do another video.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's
I'll
it.
do it.
That's all you need is just like that little glimmer.
What made you all make your first video?
It was the election.
What made you do this, huh?
The pandemic's how I just got it started. And it was a very isolating. My dad died in 2019, the end of 2019, or the middle of it, and then rolled right into a pandemic. So much isolation.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This app seems funny. So after staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning laughing, because TikTok in 2020 is vastly different than TikTok now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Staying up till like 3 o'clock in the morning laughing. I'm like, I'm going to make a video.
I can do this.
And that's when I was a hoe. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I feel like I was doing something in my corporate job that was similar to what I was doing. I just didn't realize it. I had all these white women that were so nice and well-meaning, and I could tell, but then they would say things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I knew a lot of blacks. And then, and I can't just throw people away like that because I know they are going to interact with other black women and girls. Right. And you can't, but I don't want to wait until someone I like does something offensive to now start having that conversation.
Right.
So I would find myself preemptively just like, hey, I used to think my hair was terrible and that's a racist thought. See, I have racist thoughts and now I love my hair and I can change and grow. And just bring them along the journey and be like, it's okay to talk and hear that maybe you did something wrong and you will be okay. And this is an opportunity for you. It's like if someone tells you you have a booger, be grateful. And it's you don't yell at them. And that was one of my first like big ones.
You'd be thankful.
You say thank you for telling me.
I could have really embarrassed myself over
something because you were being embarrassing already. We all saw it.
Are we all the type of people who then get mad at all the other people who didn't tell us? Because that's me. I don't get mad at the person who told me. I like look at the people before. I'm like,
as you should. I want to know why you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Why are you letting me move through the world?
Rude.
Who's your real friend? And who do you want? The one who yells at you about your booger?
A white thing on the corner of his mouth, and he got mad at me during a podcast. I was like, I didn't see it. I was sitting on the other side of the room. He's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I didn't know. He was on the other side of your face.
Sounds like
that was very valid. That was a real response.
Yeah, it was not that intense. Yeah,
it was a little bit intense. Oh my God, it was that the whole time? Yes.
But you should. A real friend tells you, even though in that moment it may hurt a little because you just realized.
So you just get embarrassed, but it
was there.
But
the
you're
whole
going to be
time.
okay.
Displaced.
Right. You're going to be okay.
And so I kind of wanted to jump in and say, okay, imagine it's a booger,
right?
And someone's telling you, hey, you hurt my feelings. They're not saying, hey, you're a mean person.
But for the two of you in particular, I see you both do such amazing work, but there are always so many particularities that you have to be so mindful of because obviously the harder you push back, the more resistant people are to what you say. But then there's the exhaustion of having to placate people and dance around it. Or I'm not saying that you do that, but what I'm saying is like the thought must be there. Like if I deliver this message in exactly the way I want to fucking say it, they're not going to hear it because they're just going to hear me being this.
Right.
So now I have to re-engineer how I'm going to say this.
And they still think it's mean.
Right. Yeah. Because any criticism is an affront, right? Is an attack.
An attack.
Why are you attacking me?
Yes.
Have you never been fucking? You must not have any idea what an attack actually is.
You find a struggle.
Yeah.
You need a struggle.
Pick one of the struggles.
Yeah.
Pick one of them.
Right.
It
must be exhausting to have to try to like reformat or reframe the way you, Portia, in particular, have this very calm way of delivering something very scathing, which I admire tremendously.
It's a well-practiced gift.
It is. It really is. But, but even still, sometimes you want to be like, listen, bitch, this is what I'm fucking saying. Yeah.
I have plenty.
Listen to me.
I wonder if that has to do with the environment you grew up in too. Because I don't have that.
Absolutely.
I don't have the patience.
I've seen it. Which I admire as well.
Yeah. I grew up in Omaha, which is kind of quiet with my parents and the military and the church. So that's part of it. I have plenty of drafts where I am screaming at people because I just need to get it out.
Post it.
Don't listen to her. Don't listen to her.
I've gotten to that place a couple of times, but the thing is, I think what also helps is that I just lead from grace. It's just who I am. And you said it perfectly just now, not throwing people away. And that's the only reason why this works, why I do what it does. I don't want to throw anybody away because, again, I don't want that harm to continue. And what I do, while the majority of my audience is white women, I do it
Is the majority?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I do it for Black women in films because I have Black women that come into my comment section that are around my age and are like, I just can't do it. And you shouldn't have to.
No.
You should not have to at all. But like you said, if we can stop this stuff from happening to you by way of what we do, that helps everybody. That's part of liberation, right? That's liberating all of us. It's liberating other Black women from doing the work of teaching white women how to see people as human beings.
Those are the comments that
think critically.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is about humanity. But the tiptoeing around it, the only tiptoeing I can say I do is just for the sake of not getting a video taken down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I will find a way to say what I want to say.
Hell yeah, you do. I love it.
That's crazy you say that because I was even going to ask, I was like, do we all feel like oftentimes we're making content that would be beneficial if white people listen to it? But sometimes I just feel like I'm mostly making content for the Asian community or people of color to just like commiserate.
And the white people who want to understand and reduce the harm that they could potentially cause. And so I hope I like to open the eyes a little bit. I'm not going to give you everything. We're not here to give you a step-by-step of how to be a good person to other people.
Your job.
You just have to respect when we talk to each other that you're listening and you're not talking, which is so much of the work.
as a white woman.
Me as a white, there's always an intro.
If you open with that, I'm already checked out.
Yeah, you didn't need to do that.
And I know you say this.
We know.
I will throw the person away.
And you can.
Listen, Susan, we know.
We all have our different roles.
As a white woman, I want you to know this is my experience with something I've never experienced.
I 100% agree, but
you can take your
not me though
over there.
You're right, but you're so wrong.
Right,
but not me or any of the experiences I've ever had.
I 100% support you, except like.
Then you don't like.
Do you know what 100% is?
100%.
Like how much
they don't. They don't know words.
They don't because they're the people who are like, I'm 100% this. I'm 100% that. You're like, you're 300. You're 300% now.
That's not how percents work.
Yeah.
You're one person, Kevin.
Yeah.
I think it can.
I think I've said you don't know how words work so many times.
So many times.
You missed the lesson on words.
You don't know how they work.
Talk good.
Yeah. Exactly.
You missed both English and math class.
This no good.
You talk.
George Bush will pay for his crimes.
Ew.
Yeah. I had a thought. I just lost it that quickly. I don't know. I think it's really, it's interesting. Another reason why that keeps me going is seeing the comments. I think that you were starting to say that Black women are like, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I need.
Right. We make the content for our people and
there's somebody else.
If you center whiteness, even though I'm the white woman whisperer and there were people who will come into my so often, I thought you were the white woman whisperer. I made it up. How are you going to tell me what it is? And they're like, well, supposedly you're the white woman whisperer and you're being so mean. And it's like,
mean.
Listen, if you want it,
so mean.
It's like the filter. If they want to hear what I have to say after seeing what I look like and hearing that name, then you're in. Okay, I'm gonna give you some grace, but you can also go. I don't need you.
I will say, and the thing that I do appreciate is when Asian women will say to me, Asian American women will say, like, you say everything I've always wanted to say.
Yes.
And I didn't have the words or I didn't have the courage. Thank you so much for speaking up for us. Thank you so much for, the support that you show us and like whatever. And like, I hope that, there are non-Asian women in the comment section reading like, what is she talking about? What is it about that?
Yes.
Why hasn't she had the strength to say it? Or why is this something that I am just now hearing about?
Right.
I never knew about the fetishization of women in this way. I never understood, the dominance culture of Asian women. And I've never, or whatever it is. And like, to that end, I'm like, all right, that's one of the motivating factors for me.
But curiosity, the natural curiosity, I think is something more effective than shaming. One.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the other thing is I don't like the finger pointing type of thing, because who's going to get on the side of someone who's yelling at them?
Right.
And I will yell at people a little bit.
Yeah.
But with my people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a purpose. It's not just
Right.
indiscriminate yelling.
But something that I've really started to like really feel is like, okay, am I just in this echo chamber now? Have I just like insulated myself with people who are all just kind of thinking how I think? And so I've been making very active choices to go outside of kind of like what my algorithm is giving me, outside of what it is that people are, because after you've developed a following or whatever, you start to see the same things over and over again. You're the best. I love your content. You're so great. And I'm like, wait. This is starting to feel to me like I am this little dictator of this little island. And I'm telling, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm starting to feel like the more and more people are telling me like how great I am, the more I feel like this fraudulence. And I'm like, wait, I'm not that great. I'm still learning just as much as all of you are learning. So please, I need to like take me down a peg. I don't want to be up here. I don't want to be up on this pedestal. It scares me up here. Like because
they'll take you down real hard.
And
they'll knock it out from under your feet.
Absolutely. Yeah. They'll burn it.
Yeah.
While I'm standing.
Because you're not a human if you're up there. And that's, we talk pet to threat, right? That's they talk about that with corporate America and Black women. You're in and they love it. Oh my God.
Yes.
She's here.
They give you all
we
these
love
and
her.
Diversity
But being that and loudly being the Black woman is a whole different thing.
Now you just put a target on your back.
Right. So it's like a garbage or like a goddess. And I don't want to be either of those.
No. I know. That's how I'm feeling right now. I feel like I that might be just how my unexpected and unplanned hiatus for the last 5 days has been, because I'm like, I don't know where I want this to go anymore. Or like, I'm at this place where like, I feel like I'm at this, I don't want to say stopping point, but I'm at this place where I'm like, what is this now? What has this become? Like when my mom was like, gosh, do you realize how many millions of people 2.2 million is? Like what that really looks like. And it made me
small country.
It's like a medium-sized country. Like, yeah, I'm like, there's some like really tiny countries.
Yeah, there's
like Eastern
what's
Europe.
a country anyway? You know what I'm saying?
What even is a country?
Don't even get me started. Questianinity is rusty.
I can feel it happening.
I feel like I know where that goes. Yeah. So I'm just gonna leave it.
That energy is like, wait,
imaginary lines written in my mind. Okay,
that was the thought I had.
And who drew those lines?
Right. But I had this like very like visceral visualization of me standing there with like a spotlight, and then it like zoomed out. And like to see like what I would look like surrounded by 2 million people was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is a huge responsibility.
It is.
That is a huge responsibility that I, again, don't really know what to do with. And so
you shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Right.
Shouldn't.
And I shouldn't.
Just ignore it.
That's not a human thing.
No.
Right.
You're thinking like that thinking is like, how do I keep this product going and not how do I keep me going?
Or like
for them. What are they waiting
more
for?
Just like my words are very impactful, and I don't want this to ever negatively impact people, or like I don't want something that I say to be weaponized against somebody else in a way that that I didn't intend, because I said it in a way that could have been misconstrued. So I'm feeling this pressure. I feel a lot of pressure to like do everything perfect and right.
Ooh,
and that has really just like right, and that's where I'm at right now.
Do you know
that's
what perfectionism is a characteristic of?
White supremacy.
Yes.
Sure is.
Everyone's got their specialties in white supremacy, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody has a part in it.
And focusing on the problems or like the potential pitfalls versus you have all those people, they're listening to you because you have done something good for them already. Right?
Yeah.
And it is individuals, they are also humans with agency.
Yes,
so
that's true. Very
right,
true.
and they can take and listen and digest, and you can give them the tools to keep you human, and say, "Hey, don't look at me for answers."
Right.
Which I feel like I'm having that now, especially with the things going on in the world, and I think some of that ends up becoming like apathy because we can only handle so much information in our brains. But with that limited energy we have, what are we going to do with it?
Right.
And it can be to focus on all the problems and the terrible and how it can go wrong. And that's what we naturally do.
Right.
But if we're motivated and see like, oh, remember that DM from that 14-year-old.
Sure.
Or for the Black women who are like, honey, please keep going.
Right.
I am exhausted, but I love everything you're saying.
I think I'm at the top of the loop right now, where I'm just kind of like rounding the corner, and I just need to see where I'm going. You know what I mean? Like right now, I'm like in that blind spot, and I'm like, but I'm like very conscious of it.
There's a few.
Self-awareness is
self-awareness. When I started a new job several years ago, they gave me this thing called the change scale, where you start something, you have these peaks where things are really good when you hit 1 million followers.
Right.
And then it dropped down because people at hitting 1 million, people are assholes.
Yeah.
And it pops back up again with the 2. So you have to write that out. But the biggest thing that I would say, advice that you did not ask me for at all.
I will take from you any day of the week.
I remember yelling unsolicited advice at Suji.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Is to not borrow trouble. Borrowing trouble is worrying about what somebody else is going to do with something that you said. You are not
that you
somebody
only meant good with,
that sets out to harm other people. That is quite opposite of who you are. Some people will be committed to misunderstanding or to completely change what you said and the way that you said it to cause harm to somebody else.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know what you said.
Right.
And you also have never stopped from saying, I fucked up, or this was misunderstood. Here's also what happened.
Right.
You
That's
have
huge.
accountability. So borrowing that trouble of what could potentially go wrong is going to suck so much joy out of your day in general. Rebecca calls it like focusing on the BS, the bright spots, and the bright spots are those DMs. The bright spots are having this happen because of that godforsaken app. Your other businesses that have been able to bloom and blossom because of what started. This is not the end all. TikTok's not going to be the end all.
This is just the springboard.
Right. And what you focus on, what you appreciate.
I'm gonna get that tattooed on me.
Borrowing trouble is
Hear what I
just.
said?
Yeah.
You say tattoo.
He always laughs at me because I always say I'm gonna get these sayings tattooed on me, but one day I will. It's gonna be like a scroll on my back of all the smart things that people who are smarter than me said that I was lucky enough to hear.
So like a philosopher's version of like getting Asian language tattooed on your body.
But in English, which I also speak, dude. I speak
what
English.
it says.
Okay?
You know what
That's
it
just
says.
kind of random
fact,
sayings.
If she wrote it in Korean, I probably
words.
wouldn't understand it as well. Let's be honest, okay?
What does that mean? I don't remember.
No. My friend Portia said it. She's smart.
Yeah.
She talks good.
She's real
She
good.
word excellent.
She words good.
Good.
But every once in a while you get a good phrase and it just it does what it does. When I recently like what you appreciates, I felt like I really needed like just kind of what am I doing with my page? I can keep sharing the harshness,
Sure.
right, that I'm feeling, which I did. And then it was okay. When people come out of their darkness, where do they go? And to us to go, yeah, it's terrible. You know, someone has to go, well, you're waking up again. So what are we here for? Yeah. And what do you want? What can you actually do? And they want us to be quiet for a reason.
Yeah.
They wouldn't come in droves to just be like, why aren't you embarrassed of yourself? If there wasn't something there.
Right.
And it's powerful. This is like a big deal for me too. Like even just as individuals, I came on TikTok because I was like, I don't know. I just want to have less of the trauma I experienced for other people.
Yeah.
But I found so much healing
in
just being
so unexpected, the healing.
So much inner child healing. I built trampolines with my live group. And that is part of me being accepting of who I am. And they're also seeing me as human. It's a little bit of that too. Like humanize Black people, not just activists.
Right.
I'm not here for you solely.
Right.
I'm here for me and my people, but also like you can be a part of this.
Yeah. Like how many times have you seen me cry at somebody eating kimchi? I mean, like, come on.
I love it.
That's
it's
not
beautiful.
like that's not healing.
Right. You're a human being.
Validating our existence is something that I was not expecting to see on TikTok or to take in and be like, oh my God, I'm a whole human being that people see now. Like,
and actually even this, for us to be from such different corners of TikTok, of the universe, of life, ages and stuff. And that I'm accepted by the people I've met. As me.
Right.
And I wasn't this before TikTok.
Right. And that we can give that to other people.
Exactly.
Right. And that I think that has been one of the more eye-opening things for me too, is like people walk in to my page and see me and have this expectation of who I am, right? This kind of buttoned up older Asian lady who likes to cook and whatever. Yeah. And then I will go hard for like the LGBTQ community. I'll go hard for Black women. I'll go hard for whoever. And they're like, we were not expecting that.
Isn't that amazing?
From you. And I'm like, good.
Exactly.
Expect more
good
from others that look like me.
Right.
Please. Exactly. Expect that from them because that's what we should all be expecting from everybody else. And I think that is what somebody said back a little while ago, like how visual it is. People need to visually see an older, middle-aged Asian woman talking shit to people and expecting change. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that, and I think for all of us in the capacities that we are, is people just haven't seen us this way.
They haven't.
Yeah.
Full round humans.
Right.
Yeah, the majority of people live in bubbles. You know, there's like their own community, people that look like them, for families. And I think the best way to combat racism and ignorance, what's like lack of education and experience, right? So I think the best way to do that, and that's what I try to do, is like try to normalize the Asian experience. You know what I mean? Like, hey, there's these horrible things that happen too, but also I like to eat this food and I watch this really funny movie. And
you don't wake up, be Asian, go to sleep.
Right.
Just like we don't wake up, be
we
Black,
don't wake up, suffer, get spit at, go to sleep.
Wake up, the suffering's terrible, we go to bed.
But that's what people learn. That's what they learn about our cultures. It's just like that thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
life
we're also
must be
humans.
so hard for you. I can't imagine being a Black woman.
Brave.
You sure can't.
You're so
and I'm
brave.
glad that
You're
you
so
can.
brave.
But that's another thing too, is like my participation in white supremacy and white supremacy culture. It is my responsibility as somebody who is who I am and my station and position in life to be like, okay, I'm not over on this side of this. I'm over on this side of this with these people. So I need you to use me as, come to the understanding by seeing my visual representation, saying like, we have to stand with Black women. We have to stand with everybody, LGBT, whoever it is, whomever we're talking about at the moment, because I understand my position in white supremacy. And I'm learning more now.
Right.
How I have been used as a weapon against other marginalized communities.
Right.
And like, it didn't really, I'm not saying I didn't know, but it didn't occur to me in the way that I've seen it explained to me on TikTok by the graces of other people, you know, who are not like me, and hearing people say like, well, this is how businesses in Los Angeles were designed with Asian people in mind in Black communities. And this is how this is now a tacit participation and, you know, confirmation of white supremacy in these ways. I'm like, I didn't even know. And I grew up in LA. I was here in 1996 and 1993 when all these riots and things, but I didn't understand my place in it. And I think, or at least to the depth that I understand it now and like what my position is. And I think it's truly mostly in part to TikTok. I mean, ironically,
Of course,
you know, so
It makes sense though, because TikTok is where humanity is right now.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be Instagram. It's not going to be, you know, Facebook.
Oh my
Facebook
God,
is
definitely
groups.
not Twitter.
Like I see that as like Instagram is like individuals,
Yes.
individualism.
Yeah.
Facebook is groups.
Right.
And then TikTok is communities
Community.
because you have individuals from different places with a common thread. Maybe they all
Right.
like to crochet. I love crocheting online.
sure do.
Because one, I learned how and it helps. It's just something I was like part of my healing.
Yeah.
And now people are like, I picked up crochet because I've been watching you do it. And it's been 30 years and I haven't done it. And that has nothing to do with me being Black.
Sure.
Right? But they're also listening to me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying things and they're seeing me as a person. And I hope that they see other people
Right.
as humans. And even being biracial, but saying Black was interesting because the weaponization of whiteness as like a shut up, you're white when I look like this.
That's crazy.
And like my whole tell my life experience, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm okay, that's interesting. Why?
Right.
Why are you doing that? But the thought that I would lean into Black when I could be
That's
biracial.
exactly it.
Right.
And I'm biracial, I'm not Black, made me go even harder. And
yeah.
I've had biracial women message me like, I love that you just stand 10 toes down in being Black and makes me feel comfortable to do that. I didn't expect that either.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not white.
When people
I
write,
didn't think that was going to be an argument.
when people write into
Are you
us,
telling
and
me
they're
who I am?
Very
when people
confused.
write into us and they're like, I'm 25% Asian, I'm like, no, you're just Asian.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that makes me feel uncomfortable because I understand why you're doing it because you've had to explain that, you've had to prove that you're not white or whatever. But like, you're
prove that you are.
Asian.
Yeah.
You're
You don't have to
Asian
quantify
and
it.
whatever you are. But like, we don't have to do this like I'm half, whatever. Like, no, you can be both those things. We don't have to clarify, nor does it matter to me what percentage of what it is. Like, why is that important?
That's
right.
interesting.
I don't understand.
Come on. Why is math in our bodies?
Right. I mean, as an Asian person, I'm just kidding.
You did the thing.
You did it. You did the thing.
But it is really crazy because I like started making content because like I felt so out of control with everything that was going on. And I was like, I need an outlet to voice my frustration.
Yeah.
And like nowhere along that journey did I think that I would heal so much of my internalized racism.
Oh, yeah.
Find a community, feel comfortable being Asian, like all of those things, like talking about trauma, my past. Like I didn't expect any of that.
You really let it rip too.
The TikTok.
Once you go and it's like, you can't close that door.
This freight train.
Once that door's open, it's like, hold on, there's a whole lot of shit.
You should have seen it this whole week while making all the content, crying my eyes out like a baby in front of the camera. Every time before I started recording, I was like, I feel so embarrassed. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, what did I just do? You know what I mean? It's the weirdest thing when people are being so supportive. You're like, I've never had this support before. Kind of like, why wouldn't I tell these strangers? Like I'm healing parts of myself.
Right.
And then people can see it's possible.
Right.
Because that's what you needed probably, or would have loved to see. So a lot of times that's what I like to, what would little me have loved?
Yeah.
Say it all the time.
Oh my God. That makes me cry.
I think you and I were on a live. It was one of our first lives. And I had said, when I make stuff, I think about 8-year-old me and 80-year-old me.
Yeah.
And
the thought of that, the thought of it makes me choke up. Remember?
She quoted you on one of her podcasts.
Yeah. I did.
little sayings. And I don't remember where I heard it, and I've been getting closer to that too, understanding that. And then I want to give myself grace, but also, what about today us? Like we can be for today us too. Yeah. That I think there's a motivation to the 8 and 80 and like being able to zoom out and see, am I on a path that I would be proud of all the time?
Right.
But also today you is worthy of peace and not just, I feel like adulthood is just saving, serving, and suffering. And we're not allowed to really be loud about anything but those things. Yeah. Or someone will come in unless you're 8 or 80, but then you're not allowed to be you don't have agency when you're 8 or 80. You're old or you're a child.
Right.
Don't do childish things like get a trampoline or don't crochet all the time because that's an old people thing.
80 though.
But like
in your present day.
Yeah, but we're doing like what is an adult if it's not like serving, suffering, or saving? Like I couldn't think of any positive things an adult does.
Suffering or saving.
Adulthood really, if we think about it, starts from when children start going to school.
Oh God.
I spend a lot of time inside making alliterations that hurt my feelings.
Yeah. I'm sitting here in it right now.
But it helps me because I realized I was like, all the things I love to do are either childish or put in like, oh, you're elderly, you're in your grandma. And I'm fine with that. But also, what would be a today version of those things?
Right.
Of me enjoying going out to eat?
Oh God.
Look, if you're an adult and you're not partially childish, but also not partially a worrywart, I don't trust you.
Yes, but also the word childish, I hate it. I hate it because it's like childlike, but
yes.
Also, child is from 0 to 17 and 365 days, 364 days.
Right.
How does that make any sense? If that's not dehumanizing, I don't know what is. I do like to say kids are the new slaves. I don't know if that's gonna be my here.
Oh shit!
No, it's true. But it's true.
Well, they're gonna walk through the door in any second.
But you don't have to. They don't have to be. But I see the words.
Like get to work.
I just see people using them as.
We're not suggesting this.
I'm not saying make them, but I do think that they're used. Yeah, and just like dehumanized and just like propped up as things and then not and no agency.
They have nothing. We send kids to school at 4 years old, pre-kindergarten. Then they're in kindergarten for some school districts that are still 8 hours a day, then first grade on 8 hours a day, then coming home and doing homework, which is essentially overtime work for an adult. And then we're putting them into like practices and extracurricular. They're not kids. So by the time they turn 18, which is so funny that on your 18th birthday, congratulations, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you couldn't do anything, but today, go buy a gun. Yep. So like,
but they'll still call you a child.
They'll still call you a child when you try to make an adult decision.
Right? Well, you're young. You're 18.
It's silly. Yeah. So by the time that you have the things that you would like to do as a child, the time to do those, you're an adult, and people are like, "Oh, that's childish."
Get a job.
You're right. When was I a child?
Right. When did I get to? Right.
When did I get to try to explore any of the things I wanted to until I became an adult and I could finally have the time, agency, and money to invest in what I like?
Right.
And that is why I have a nice stack of sour straws and Rice Krispie treats in my apartment.
It's like Willy
and
Wonka.
Gushers.
Yeah.
And because I can. And you know what? They're childish, but they taste good. And I'm an adult and they still taste good.
What adult doesn't become an adult at one point and go, I'm going to eat ice cream for breakfast because I can?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And like, what is that about that we think we grow and all of a sudden we don't want songs to educate us, by the way? I would love to still be learning via song and colors.
Can we get Schoolhouse Rock?
I still remember
This episode of Vanderpump Rules brought to you by the letter M.
Exactly. I do have a lot of like C words of the day, but I think that,
Of course you do.
I like my C words, but like something doesn't happen to us where that is a good method for learning. And then all of a sudden books and textbooks with the teeniest writing. And now
no
that's
pictures.
how adults learn.
Yeah.
And no pictures.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I think songs are useful.
Things not
And
to
you
get a
say
little beat.
to Asian women. Things not to say to black women too.
I would invest in that album so hard.
After you hit a certain amount of followers, you have to come out with a YouTube song. It is a prerequisite. It is a prerequisite. I've been saying this for weeks.
Immediately followed by my apology. My apology song, my ukulele. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fantastic. I think it's great. You said healing a lot, and I think it's really, like, I love the fact that you see that because a lot of us are healing out loud.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what's building a community of healing out loud. Because once you start doing that, you stop paying attention to what other people have told you you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Right? And there just needs to be more of that. Like,
make safer environments for us and the people around us.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's how I imagine when someone says, I was watching your videos with my family, or I sent it to my, I'm like, I just wanted to spread through because I think those are safer people around people like me.
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
And that's really my goal. And why we talk about paywalls and stuff and why I struggle, I'm not going to take that away. So I'm going to remove some safety measures because, people aren't generous enough.
But we touched on this earlier, is like the influencer content creator divide is like, it's okay for some people to monetize their work on the internet, but it's not okay for others. And it's like such a divisive topic, and people get so upset when they see their favorite creator has sold out. Like, no, your favorite creator also has bills to pay and
I just
food
realized
that they want to eat.
Because there's no one in between, right? They like when you get a deal with this company,
Right.
that so you get a book. If you get a book deal, no one's mad about that.
Right.
Right. But if you individually are like, hey, buy this series of my TikTok videos or buy this book from me, that hurts them somehow.
But like, why? Like, what is that?
Parasocial.
What is it about it?
I think it's
They think they are friends with
that
us, and now
middleman
we're
person
forcing
of
them
it.
to
Like,
pay.
you and I were friends, and now in
Transactional
order for us to
friendship.
be friends and to see each other, now you have to bring this other person around. An analogy that might or might not work, but like, you're invited out to lunch, and then you show up, but you bring somebody else. And I'm like, who is this other person? I just wanted you. I want only you, all your attention, this other person. So it's a very loose analogy, but it kind of makes sense. Like, these people feel like they know you and they love you and they're friends with you. And now you're doing something that doesn't seem so friendly to them.
Well, like, do they not have friends? Because I tell my friends all the time, yo, I just bought this thing. This thing is awesome.
That's a bigger
You should
conversation.
get
It's
one.
Right. Because it's
bigger
not about
conversation.
what you're doing. It's about the money.
Right.
Because they want to hear what you're using all the time.
Right.
They absolutely want that.
Every day. What lipstick are you wearing?
Right.
What shirt is that? What hair care product
I get
do
it
you use?
on this.
But as soon as eligible for commission comes up.
Exactly.
You shut up, I hate you.
And
How
so
dare you? You sold out.
that's it. I think it's it's almost like they wanted to be friends for free, but then they want you to exist. They want you to exist just in ways that make them comfortable. Because now, if they don't buy it, that's something on them. They're not supporting you, or
Makes them feel
it's
less
about them.
than.
It's about how they feel about what you're doing, or if they're going to now follow through and buy that
Your
vacuum.
feelings.
What's really
This is actually, I'm so sorry to interrupt
no,
you,
go ahead.
but that's really relevant to what's happening today. And I wish, like, I just processed in my head, but the way that you're doing it, that brings something back on them. I now have guilt because now I'm not going to do what suggesting they should do. And then we think about the people that are talking about other people that aren't talking about Palestine or that they are. And that they feel like if somebody else is talking about it, but they're not talking about it, then now I have this guilt too. So people are placing a lot of guilt that they are gathering from what other people are doing. They feel this guilt that's not necessary. And because they don't know what to do with that guilt, because that's one thing that a lot of people don't like is this guilty feeling. They push it back on the source of where it came from.
How dare you make me feel this way?
How dare you make me feel guilty for not doing what you're doing?
I don't have to think it through. I just upset about it, and I'm upset that
I put in so much effort to ignore this. How dare you?
Right. Yeah. How dare you make me think about something beyond what's right in front of my face?
It's like that. I've been kind of back and forth with the professional, because the idea of personal versus professional, it tells us a lot right there. Sure. So you're either a person or you're in your profession, and you are a professional, and that never crosses over. You can't be a person who is also a professional.
But what's really
how is that possible?
Is that my whole platform is I'm a professional at being the person that I am.
Exactly.
I am professionally myself, right? And I think that's why people don't get it.
They're trying to assign some other profession to you.
All of my content, and I was talking to my sister about this, is about individual experiences, interpersonal contacts. I don't talk about like global issues. I don't talk about the climate change. I don't talk about most of those things. I talk about interpersonal relationship interactions and, things that happen, in your day-to-day life. That's kind of been my thing. So it's like, I'm a professional in my experience. Right. So like, why?
But those don't go together in capitalism.
Exactly.
You can't be a professional person.
But see, what I think that people can't get their head around is that you can monetize that now. I can monetize me being professionally myself in ways that may not be as you expected them to be, but they do exist. I have the ability to say, I, as a professional person of being myself, know that in my day-to-day life, this vacuum has been great for me as an individual person. Yep. I cannot tell you how many people were like, how could you?
A vacuum.
How could you tell me a vacuum was good?
Right.
That is horrible.
And make money off of you telling me that, because they were fine with it.
You are hideous. You are a capitalistic slave, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
as they order their next order of Skims.
Right. Or pay their subscription to Netflix.
So you're not allowed to work for yourself. I think what it is, I'm connecting more things now, because after slavery,
oh my God.
We weren't allowed to work for ourselves.
Yeah.
You're not allowed. If you want to be a good citizen in this country, you work for a white man.
Which is crazy, because people love an entrepreneur.
Only if he's white.
Only if he's white.
If you're white.
If he's white.
If he's white.
Right.
Let's get specific.
Yes.
Because entrepreneur doesn't look like me. When I say
and he already has money.
Right. Huh.
It's because you're not working for the man, someone else that filters out what's good or not to then serve them.
Right.
Right. If it's just you operating, because they don't like seeing artists either.
Unless it's niche for your community. Oh, you make hair care for Black women. Great for you.
Susie, sell
that
me
will
kimchi.
send white women over the edge. What do you mean it's for Black hair?
Oh my God.
So can I? But my niece got a free package and then she used it and it was good. Can I buy?
It's your niece. It's your niece, Karen. I don't care what you do.
Like you want, man.
Whatever. The fact that they will ask me, is this if I was named the Black Woman Whisperer, would that be wrong?
Do it. Just do it.
I don't know. Yeah. No. What you're just asking questions.
Just asking questions.
Just saying words. You just
you strung these words together in a way that makes me want to punch your face.
And you are the 7,000th person to do it. Like they all think
why
they're
do
the
you
first
think you're
one.
the first person to ask this question?
Yeah.
If I were to be the Black Woman Whisperer, if I were to say that Black women are X, Y, say it.
If I were to make white only hair care, would that be okay?
It already exists, Karen.
Exists.
It's hair care.
It's literally the whole American industry of like beauty products.
That's a really good point. Like it's the standard is for white people. So if Black is put in front of it, it's because the original was for you. Like they just act like they don't understand it. Like, why can't it be white hair care?
That whole conversation about like Asian representation in media, and we were talking about how, people of color, Asian people specifically was the topic, were played by non-Asian people.
Yeah, looking at you, ScarJo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Emma Stone.
They're actors. Why can't we all just act and just, because we've already done that.
Those aren't real questions.
Those are not real questions.
Those aren't
That's
no more rhetorical questions.
Johansson is an actress.
Yeah.
She should be able to play whatever she wants. Just like
and she did, and now we're talking about it.
How many times have you seen an Asian person play a white person in a movie? I'll tell you how many times. Zero many times.
Yeah.
Zero many times. So the fact that you're saying like, well, why can't it has happened in that way that's why we're discussing it.
What they're saying is, why are you talking about it? Make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it already happened. They're not asking.
It's already
happened
today.
Right.
They did it already.
It's a thought. It's a conversation ending thought. They don't actually want to have the conversation. They're going to say something that if you respond back in the way that you want to respond back, why are you so mad at me?
Because you're a bitch.
It drives me nuts because I value questions so much and they ask so many and they don't mean any of them.
And you don't want an answer.
And especially when they say, can I ask a question? And then ask it in the same comment.
Right.
Why'd you ask me if you could ask? I was going to say no.
Yeah.
I was going to say no.
And that's why
I say no every time.
That's why they did it.
And they're like, can I ask you a question?
No.
Why would you ever think?
No.
That's when you find out people have been paying attention. They don't say anything. When they do that, they blow past the, can I ask a question?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Like, she's going to say no. I should just.
I say no every time.
I'll just answer for you. I'll just go in your comments every single day.
A field day. A field day.
No, shut up.
Which is actually some of the best responses I give are like when I deactivate myself and I'm just like, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. Whether it's really long or this is a terrible question. And just addressing literally what they're saying and not the subtext and the emotional pull. Like they're trying to hit that hate string in my heart. For sure. Right? Not gonna live.
Somebody was like, I can't believe you sold out. I used to love this channel. You really stood for something. I'm leaving. And I just put LOL. Bye. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Because
you're funny. Bye.
Okay.
That cold comment was crazy. I have to go back.
See you later. But that's also speaking to the level of self-importance these people have. They really feel like your life is going to end.
Unfollowing now.
And that's when you get to be like that bitch. But like, I have 2.2 million followers. Right. If you leave, Kevin, I will not know, nor will I care.
This on the list of things I don't give a shit about.
At the top.
Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Kevin. You made number one today, Kevin.
I'm so proud of you.
It's okay not to care about stuff. I feel like people think that they can shame you into caring about something. Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, you could be mad. Right. I don't care still.
What is the expected result? Like, I'm gonna beg you to stay?
No, the expected result is that they're going to make their shitty lives feel just a smidgen better for half a second because they were like, I'm not the only miserable person.
Like
that's the expectation.
Yeah, and they're trying to provoke a reaction out of you, especially with Black women. Because what's the trope that you all know, the angry black woman?
Yeah.
And
you're so angry,
all the time.
They're attacking. They're trying to
I'm terrified right here, right now. Yeah. I'm just sitting here.
You should be.
I'm cringing. I'm so scared. No, but now I am.
You're so volatile over here.
It took a lot of effort to make my face look that mean. It's like, hold on, I can't do it for real. But that's. Like, I'm not even all that mean. I'm a teddy bear.
Oh my God, for real.
And I always bring my dog in just in case they're scared of me. I'm like, I have a French bulldog. You can't hit me now.
You like
white people. White people love a French bulldog.
I'm the most approachable bitch in town. Okay, for sure.
I do that too until Susie's like, just be careful. Remember, we're Asian. I'm like,
they're gonna tell you they're gonna eat the dog.
That's terrible.
Every time it loops back to it.
I don't ever show my dogs. Terrible. I love my dogs. I never show them. Because I'm
trauma.
Everybody always says
that is messed up.
It's ridiculous. It's lazy racism, and that's another thing with doing what we do and doing what I do and seeing the ridiculous questions that have no hope for an answer. How different they are from the people that are really trying to get it.
Right.
And that I've seen in the comments or in other people's comments trying to get it. That question's like, hold on, you're on a path of some understanding and healing.
Right.
That thought ending shit, kick rocks with open-toed shoes at that point. Like, you're not going to get anything from me, right? Outside the fact, you're never going to see me get to my point of what Portia anger looks like. That's just not going to happen. Will I read you for filth to make you look stupid?
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Will I enjoy it? Absolutely. But now here we all are, distracted from what we were supposed to do.
Right.
And you feel bad. I feel great, but you feel bad. And we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so back to what you were saying about like how lazy it is, like the things that people say. I'm like, listen, if you get to know me just a little bit, you'll have plenty of things to make fun of me for. Like, you don't have to go with the basic shit.
You just
I'm a fucking mess.
True.
I'm a mess, man. Like, there's so many. I have so many horrible personality traits that you could go after, like way beyond any stereotypes. Like, I don't eat dogs, but I can be very annoying about a lot of things. Like, go for that. Dig a little deeper. Be more creative with your insults.
But they want to pull at the hate strings. They're they're not really interested in being creative. And when I think about that, because it's like a non-consensual pull into an emotion, and we can't control all of that. Sometimes I get really mad at myself if I feel like a physical reaction to a mean comment. I'm like, you're better than this. You're better than that. Don't let them get to you.
No feelings, no feelings.
But I do understand the making the video where you're angry and then just saving it.
I'm like, I do that.
Sometimes you make the video and you're like, I feel better.
The release.
Yes. And you have it. And
it's yours.
If you need it, you can pull it out and post
delete them because I'm so terrified that someone's going to hack my account and then post them all.
Just let it happen.
Well, then be like, hey, that was for private times. So
that's funny.
Sometimes I also do the videos in the draft where somebody has made like a ridiculously heinous comment, and I know that if they see my comment response, they'll get rid of the comment. So I don't want them to get rid of the ignorance which they spewed, but I want to talk about it, and I wait for them to say one extra thing, and now I'm gonna roast Rose. I like to put that little.
I like giving them a little room because sometimes people say something and they don't realize what it sounds like. So I go, huh? And this is their opportunity. There's only two ways.
Backtrack.
There's either, I'm sorry, I didn't, my bad, or nothing. Or it's, what I really meant was, you should never speak again. I hate everything about you. It goes right into, exactly, just like that.
It really is kind of like that.
It really is. It's just lots of sounds. Nothing is real. Nothing's really happening. It's just, and I'm just, whoa. All I said was, huh. I said, huh.
My recent favorite thing is to just ignore them.
Yeah.
That's Susie.
I do that sometimes. I'm like, oh, you're loud? I'm going to be louder.
This is how we combat
the dogs are like,
Okay, look at me. I'm helping.
Okay, we have our co-host
special guest.
Okay.
The puppies are here.
Go boy.
We got friends.
But I've been recently just ignoring people and watching them go insane.
Have a whole.
Like, there's this one guy that I literally clowned on TikTok, and he has, it's been like 4 or 5 months, and he's since then.
Are you talking about the butthole guy?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No. The one guy that I had him dancing on my hand and I blew off, remember? Remember that guy?
Beautiful.
Yeah. I clowned him. I took a video of him doing this ridiculous dance and I shrunk it down on my hand and I blew him off. And it was hysterical. And it clearly did exactly what I knew it was going to do. It was going to crush his little ego, you know? And to this day, he'll just tag me in a comment and make these comments about fatherless activities and stuff, none of which faze me whatsoever.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean anything to me. Yes, I grew up with a father.
You gave them that information.
Right. Yeah.
How are you going to hurt me with what I gave you?
Right. Yeah, there's just something, when people call me stupid and stuff, I'm like, that's not an insecurity of mine. So it doesn't really harm me. But he'll keep doing it. And I just ignore him because I know it's driving him insane. And although I don't get the instant gratification, the next time it's like a gratification and frustration at the same time. You're like, oh, this motherfucker again. You're like,
but now you really can't, because once you give in, now he's one.
Yeah.
So you just
and I want to, because an ex, not even an ex, but someone of his, some girl that he tried to date online reached out to me and told me a bunch of tea. And I was
I mean, you could allude to it.
You can always allude to it.
So you live in your parents' basement?
You should be like, I spoke to Liz.
Yeah.
And just leave it at that.
I would be quiet if I were you.
Your mom told me your dinner's ready upstairs.
Your chicken nuggies with honey mussies ready, bitch.
Your dino nuggets are ready.
I love that chicken nuggets with honey mussies.
Your honey mussies ready, okay?
Honey mussie.
All right.
Chicken nuggies.
Anyway.
Okay.
Well, oh, God.
You just let it happen.
And you have both the dogs.
At this point, just let it happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, get to my good boy. Can you sit down? Can you sit down, big good boy?
He was looking so dapper.
I know, isn't he? He had to drop a few pounds. He was getting too fat. Anyway, I want to thank you both so much for being here. And you know how much I love, adore, and admire you both. And I feel so privileged to be a friend of yours. And I I'm so grateful to have you both in my life. Really,
Right back at you.
You're not gonna make me cry on camera.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
not gonna do it.
no, you
Cry. For once, it's not me. God damn it, cry.
No, you've taught me so much, and you guys have made me
kidding.
so introspective and really, you ground me.
That means a lot.
And you make me remember who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm here, and why we do what we do. So thank you both so much.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us.
Thank you.
And I love
When
you. Love
Other
you.
people make mindful
Oh, that
content.
was-
It does make me feel like,
Fuck
oh,
yeah.
sweet. Yeah.
Like-
I got this.
We can all do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can do it differently,
Not
right?
the face, not the
Right?
face.
Not the
Yeah.
face, not the face,
It's
Jelly.
the last thing before we go, doing it differently. That's a community speak. We all have the same ultimate goal. How we get there might look a little bit different, but
Yeah.
it's the same goal. Hi, Jilly.
Agreed.
Okay.
Well, Huey is done for the day. I'm
Well,
done too.
you and
Yeah,
your brother.
I'm very thankful for both of you joining
Thank
us.
you.
Very
Thank
nice
you.
It
meeting
was
you.
so fun.
Nice to meet you,
This
Ed.
was
really
awesome.
fun. Isn't it
This
fun?
is a lot of fun.
I know.
Like it.
These
It's
are
like
great
professional.
hosts.
Live here. Live in LA now.
I just moved.
I know. Do it again.
Do it again.
That was simple math. I like that.
Do it again.
I
And that's
heard
still
you.
math.
I heard body math. Move
So
your
much-
body.
Yeah.
So much math today.
So much.
Huey does not love it.
I
No.
know.
So exactly.
He's not a.
That's the white
math
man's
woman.
tool.
He was a jock.
Yeah, he was. He
Anyway,
is a jock.
yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you all for joining us as well. We really appreciate your time. So
Yeah. On that note, thank you for. That's what Susie just said.
I did. I said that.
Just mansplain what she said. It's okay.
Wow, mansplaining out the door. That's fun.
Oopsies. On that note, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters and all of us who are executive and producers on our show. If you do want to support us and help us keep this sustainable, please think about joining our Patreon. We do upload some exclusive content there sometimes. Huey thinks we should have more. I agree. But other than that, make sure you follow us all on our socials.
You can find me at Sujia1 on TikTok and Instagram.
I'm Portia.Noir on Instagram and TikTok.
White woman whisperer. You'll find me.
I'm Etch a Sketch with the J. You can find the podcast at What in the Shibal, Shibal. And please write into us. Huey really would like you to. We'd love to do a Culture of Foods episode. So write us about your cultural stories. Am I the assholes? Whatever. What in the Shibal?
Right now, Huey's being the asshole.
gmail.com. Otherwise, if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Would you like?
Ring the bell.
Yep,
Ring the bell.
there it is. got the bell today. But otherwise, thank you again. And oh yeah.
At the end. Look like this. Ready?
Okay.
bye.
All right. Okay. Bye.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye.
No, it's over.
It's over.
Yep.
It's over.
No big deal.
Chaos.
Nothing's happening.